Okay, guys, we are going to deal with some circumference of parts of circles. We know that in order to find the circumference of a circle, we use the formula C is equal to 2 times pi times r. Now, that's the circumference for an entire circle, okay? Here we have a semicircle, so we have half of a circle. I still use the same formula, but when I'm done or when I've completed the question, then I go back and I multiply by 1/2. So we start off with the same formula, 2 times pi times r. It tells me down here that I can either enter my answer in exact terms of pi or I can use 3.14 for pi. I want to leave it in terms of pi because that's one extra step that I don't have to do. 2, bring it down, times, I bring down my pi, and I look, my radius is 11. So I put an 11 here. Uh-oh. Put an 11 here. 2 times 11 is 22, and I still have my pi. That would have been the answer if we had a whole circle. But we did not have the whole circle. We just had half of a circle. So I take my number, which is 22, and I multiply it by 1/2. So 1/2 times 22 over 1. 1 times 22 is 22. 2 times 1 is 2. I know that 22 divided by 2 is 11. So my answer is 11 pi. 11 and the pi symbol. Let's clear this thing. I thought I was clearing my screen. Again, I use my same formula. C is equal to 2 times pi times r. My radius is 9, so I have 2 times pi times 9. I know that 2 times 9 is 18, and I bring my pi back down. This would have been my circumference for the entire circle, but I don't have a whole circle. I have half of a circle. So I take 1/2 and I multiply it by 18 over 1. 1 times 18 is 18. 2 times 1 is 2. I know that 18 divided by 2 is 9, and I bring my pi back down. So my answer for this one would be 9 pi. 9 pi. On this one, I don't know why we keep getting half circles, but it works. My formula, C is equal to 2 times pi times r. 2 is still the same. My pi is still the same. My radius this time is 5. So I know that 2 times 5 is 10. And I bring my pi back down. 10 pi is the answer for the whole circle, but we only have half of the circle. So 1/2 of 10 is 5, but we'll work it out. Uh-oh, why did I put 10 over 2? This is supposed to be a 1 under here. 10 times 1 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and I put my pi back. So my answer would be 5 pi. What's happening to my 5 here? 5, uh-oh, pi. Let's try this one. On this one, we do not have, see if I can get my pen, clear my screen here. We don't have the entire circle on this one either. On this one, we have 1/4 of a circle. If you're wondering how I got the 1/4, if I take a circle, right, and I divide it into 4 pieces, one of these little shaded pieces is what we have. So I still use that same formula. C is equal to 2 times pi times r. Bring down my 2, bring down my pi. This time my radius is 8. So I know that 2 times 8 is 16, and I bring down my pi. 16 pi is the circumference for the entire circle. But we don't have the entire circle. We only have 1/4 of the circle. So I take 1/4 and I multiply it by 16 over 1. 1 times 16 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4. I know that 16 divided by 4 is 4. And I have to bring my pi back down, so it's 4 pi. So we'll have a 4 and the pi. just like that. We'll do more of these. Circumference of parts of a circle. Okay, let's look at this one. They give us a semicircle, which is half of a circle. We're still going to use that same formula. C is equal to 2 times pi times r. I know that 2 and pi can come straight down, but my radius is not 10. My radius is 5. They tell me that this whole thing all the way across the bottom here is 10. That means each half is 5. So my radius is 5. Now I can multiply 2 times 5 and I get 10 pi. That would have been my radius that would have been my circumference if I had an entire circle. But I didn't have an entire circle. I had a semicircle, which is half of a circle. So I take my 1/2 and I multiply it by 10 over 1. 10 times 1 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2. I know that 10 divided by 2 is 5, and I bring my pi back there. So 5 pi. You could have looked up here when we came up with 10 pi and said, okay, hey, if 10 pi is the whole thing and I only have half of it, half of 10 pi is 5 pi. So we would have had 5 pi. Oh, let's do this one. We use that same formula again. C is equal to 2 times pi times r. I know that, and I don't know what this is up at the top. We'll just scribble that foolishness out. Okay, I bring down my 2. I bring down my pi. I know that my radius this time is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So 10 pi would have been my circumference for the entire circle. But we do not have the entire circle. We have 3/4 of the circle. So I take my 3/4 and I multiply that times 10 over 1. 10 times 3 is 30. 4 times 1 is 4. I can reduce this by dividing the top and the bottom by 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 15 halves, and I have to put my pi back. So we have 15 halves. 15 halves and then pi. Just like that. On this one, we have another semicircle, which is half of a circle. Same formula. C is equal to 2 times pi times r. My diameter that they give me here is all the way across. I don't want the diameter. I want half of it, which is my radius. I only want to know about, hey, what about this little piece over here? If the whole thing is 8, I know that half of it has to be 4. So my radius is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So I know that the circumference of this entire circle, if it were to be a whole circle, would be 8 pi. But we don't have the entire circle. We only have half of the circle. I know that half of 8 pi is 4 pi. Remember, this would have been if we had the whole circle. We only have half a circle. So we take half of 8, which is 4 pi. 4, and I put my pi symbol back. Last one. On this one, we use that same formula again. C is equal to 2 times pi times r. Bring down my 2 pi. I know that my radius of this thing is 1. 2 times 1 is 2 pi. 2 pi would have been the whole thing. That would have been the whole circle. But we don't have the whole circle. We have 1/4 of the circle. Remember, if we took a circle and we divided it into 4 pieces, we have one of these little pieces. So I have to say, hey, what's 1/4 times 2 over 1? 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 1 is 4. 2 over 4, I can reduce that by dividing the top and the bottom by 2, and I'll come up with 1/2. So I know that the circumference for this little piece is 1/2 pi. And we are finished, guys.